I'm starting to think people in their 20s are experiencing mass psychosis because when I talk to people in their 20s, I hear a lot about crypto investments. I hear a lot of people engaging in gambling. I hear a lot of people just sort of not laying down the foundations and planting the seeds that are going to reap big rewards down the road. So, in this video, I want to talk about just a couple key things that I see people messing up on, and they're not going to be able to afford their future. Because the idea is, and I'm going to start off with this one, is that when you're in your 20s, you start to have these big income wins, right? You start to get a promotion, you get that next position, or you land that dream job. And when you, by the time you get to 30, you should have experienced a couple of these big wins. And it might take you a few extra years. You might have to go through some, real perseverance and really, just challenging situations to get there. But typically, by the time you hit 30, sadly, a good thing or bad thing, whatever you want to call it, but the income starts to stagnate. So there's a lot of big increases, but then it sort of levels out. And so I think a lot of people get sort of caught in this trap of, oh, well, you know what? In 5 years, 10 years, I'll be making a lot more. And unfortunately, statistically, it just doesn't happen to everyone. And that's why we see a lot of people in their 40s and 50s still living paycheck to paycheck. The other way you can eliminate that is instead of throwing away these long shot investment opportunities, is starting to build that just basic foundations of allowing compounding interest to do the work for you. So it's not about return of investment. It's about keeping that investment alive, right? Because if you have a 100% return, but you have a 50% risk of losing all of it, that's just too big of a risk to take. And even if you do win, typically the way I see it is people sort of double up, double up, double up, double up. And all of a sudden, they might double up their money 4 times, but on that fifth time, they lose it all. Versus if someone's just kind of boring and just, they sort of get that little bit of win every time, but there's no risk of losing the whole pot, then even if they lose a little bit one year, it's a little bit of the whole pie and they're not losing all of it. So again, it's kind of boring, but it's safe, reliable, and it's just the way I would say, Warren Buffett recommends it. I recommend it. It's the approach I take, and I think it works very well. So, but it's also just on the mindset thing too, right? So even if you're looking at those stagnating, your income starts to stagnate. There's certain skills, communication skills. There's certain things that you can still improve upon to where you are able to benefit from increases in income. And it relates to not being more technically savvy, but usually it relates to communication, understanding people, what motivates people, how to motivate others. And if you don't have the foundations down of being able to motivate yourself in your 20s, then you're not going to be put in those positions in your 30s or 40s where you're now entrusted with a team and an organization and lots of people. And so building those key foundational habits in your 20s are going to be so helpful because those habits will cement in your 30s. It's really hard to take on new hobbies in your 30s. And so again, with the seeds, it's, if you're doing social things in your 20s and you're building out a social circle, if you're out there engaged in a community, whether that's through, volunteer work, or you're at your gym, the fitness, you're hanging out in the sauna. There's different ways you can remain social and benefit from that, and that reduces the likelihood of depression, anxiety. It builds up your social circle. It gives you connections. There's a lot of wins associated with just being social. And so if you're finding yourself isolating as you get older, I can just say it's a trend that unfortunately, with the male loneliness epidemic that we're experiencing here, it's hard to fight against that. So if you see that encroaching on your life, it's kind of like lifestyle inflation. And the whole, theme of this video, that life gets more expensive as we get older. And so can you afford your future? And if you see the trajectory going that way, then fight like hell. Okay. That's all I got to say. So leave a comment if you got something out of this video. This is a very passionate topic of mine because I don't like the idea that some people are just setting themselves up. They're setting themselves up for failure, and they're stuck in their 20s kind of wasting energy fighting against something that's coming. It's like a tidal wave, and you're sort of yelling at the tidal wave when it's like you're better off if you find high ground or whatever, what have you. And there's certain forces that are just coming at you, and you gotta recognize that there's certain things you can kind of argue about, but reality is reality, and you don't want to be stuck in your 40s and 50s living paycheck to paycheck. Your parents are stressed out, they can't retire. You want to avoid those traps. So if you're in your 20s, I hope you got something out of this video. It's kind of designed for someone that's kind of maybe on the fence over like what decisions to make. Again, subscribe to this channel for some of the simple ones I think that are helpful for anybody that can improve your communication, improve your income, improve your impact, not just for yourself, but those around you too, at your job, within your family and friends. Just and also, again, it's just like life's so short, let's enjoy it, right? And so I think about it as money and finances can be solved, I think, within, I don't know, 6 to 12 months of just sort of figuring it out. I think about this a lot in this video, but I'll say this: we spend 2,000 hours a year earning money. How often do we spend 2 hours learning how to manage, control, and optimize our money? And so that's kind of the idea behind this video, is that don't just be stuck, grinding away. There's these other little habits that you can install and benefit from. So I hope you got something out of the video. And until next time, peace.